Hey, welcome back, everyone. Gee, seems like we just saw everybody here a minute ago. Welcome to another Link to the Past NMG any percent tournament race here. Still in our group stages, getting toward the end of it. Got Chexhuman versus SNES Chalmers for you tonight. Joined on comms by Blue and Anders. How are you two doing?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you.
Doing as well as I can for a Thursday night.
Understand that feeling. That is certainly a mood. Well, I will hand it over to the two of you, and we will get this race underway just a couple minutes here.
Thank you. Well, I, for one, am really excited for this match. These are two runners that I particularly know pretty well. So expect some fun facts about our runners. And if you guys are good, maybe, just maybe, Blue and I'll treat you to some trivia.
I hope you're good, because I've seen the question but not the answer, and I've been waiting all week to find out the answer.
Wait, did I not tell you the answer? What?
Look, it's
fine.
I
didn't.
No, it's fine.
Gosh.
It's fine. I'll find out, around Thieves Town time, I'll find out in 50 more minutes. It's already been like 3 days. What's another 50 minutes?
That's very true. So I also, chat, I need you guys to, it is not Apple Farmer DAO, but thank you. I need you guys to do me a favor. We're going to play a prank. Okay? I'm going to play a prank on my friend Chexhuman. So
I love pranks. I'm ready.
Anytime Chex appears in chat, or after if he decides to join us for an interview, your job is going to be to flood the chat with, "Wow, Chex, that's a nice haircut." He got a haircut and it's very nice. So I need you. So we're going to practice this now. All right. So Blue, I'll be like cueing you here. Okay. So, look, Chex is in chat.
Nice haircut.
Thank you.
All right. I feel like I'm ready. I didn't know that I was going to have to do that tonight. I didn't stretch or anything beforehand, but I think I'm good. I think I'm good to do that when it's time.
Honestly, most of the jokes I make are already a stretch, so I don't think I need to any.
Very nice. This should be a really good matchup, and it looks like we're just about to get started here. These two are actually neighboring seeds in the bracket. Just the way that it works out, there's not a lot of people that are neighboring seeds playing each other, and I believe they're 24 and 25.
Yeah, they have very close PB times. Both are pretty active in the community. Chex known primarily for his crazy glitched runs, and Chalmers known for, and he told me to say this, for joining the weekly and dying to cold stare every time.
Nice. That would be me if I was in the weekly. But yeah, we got about 21 seconds separate their PBs. Chex's PB is a little fresher. He actually just set it, I think, on March 7th. And I actually, much like we're doing right now, I looked at a run that Chalmers did on the same day. And they had identical light worlds. A 30-12 from both of them. So they were still synced up in Palace of Darkness. And I'm hoping that's what we see today, is a very close run like that.
It probably will be. Like I said, I'm pretty familiar with both of these runners. And they've been having some spicy practice runs.
Yeah, I was stalking their practice last night. I saw you there as well.
I'm so sorry for anything I said in chat, I guess.
You guys. Chex was a little behind his PB, and Chalmers was on PB pace, which I think would put them pretty, even. And that was just last night. So I think we'll see, hopefully, a very close race here. Escape is where the game begins. It's just a race to get out of bed and then go rescue Zelda.
Yeah, so the game, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, we spend a majority of it trying to save the princess. So here in this first little split that we've got, we're gonna save the princess. But first, we gotta go talk to our dead uncle. Or dying uncle, I guess I should say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but in the ending, it does say that he recovers.
Well, so first off, it's an almost 30-year-old game. I don't know if it's considered spoiling it anymore. Second off, in the lore, he Along with the priest, many of the soldiers and the King of Hyrule all die and are brought back to life based on Link's wish upon the Triforce.
Oh, that's interesting, because I know people, just talking about how he's for sure dead. And I just assumed it was kind of like a Paul McCartney is dead sort of thing, like that old Beatles conspiracy.
Oh yeah, no. Uncle is totally dead. He's dead. You don't just leave him in a well for a couple days. He's dead.
Yeah, I guess so. So this
Jeez,
segment...
Blue, next you're gonna tell me that you didn't know he was an apple farmer. Gosh.
Oh my god! The more I find out new things about this game every day, maybe even this segment right here. So escape is it's pretty much movement and then reaction to RNGs. There's not a lot of tricks in this segment. There's a lot of pumping, which is, I guess, a trick that no one likes to do.
Yeah, pumping helps us push forward, cut out a little bit of that boring stuff by making us move a little faster in certain situations.
Right. So the developers decided that Link's walk speed would be 1.5 pixels per frame, and they did that by alternating 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And when he's going left and up, it starts with a 2, and when he goes right and down, it starts with a 1. So when he's going left and up, we just mash those other buttons to try and reset that so he gets extra 2s.
So I can tell on Chex' side that he went for the 8/ strategy on our ball and chain guard. Took a little bit of a bump, but looks like it went pretty well for him.
Yeah, and that's going to be pretty common with runners of their level. You do see some people do the one pot strat still, because the thing about ball and chain is if you take too many clinks, it's not going to be faster.
That is very true. Now that we've saved the princess, we're going to take her to safety and the game is over because we have saved the princess, which is the point of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, right?
I mean, come on. Even I don't think the game is going to be over. And I notoriously, when I first played Mario 64, thought I had beat the game when I got to the first Bowser at 8 stars. So I'm definitely gullible in that regard. But no, here, even I don't believe that the game's going to be over in 6 minutes.
Well, luckily you're right. We've still got crowd. You have a lot to deal with for me right now. You got a lot of me to deal with. Over an hour of me. So I know. No wonder I'm single. Anyway,
you didn't tell them they have to deal with me for over an hour too. Speaking of dealing with things, though, Chalmers down to 1 heart here. We hear some beeping on his end, and he does grab that extra safety heart that you don't want to have to grab, but in a race, you're probably going to grab it if you're that hurt.
So yeah, for those of you just joining us, this is any percent no major glitches. We're doing the game as close to normal as possible. A few little exceptions. One thing that I always like to point out in this escape section is that the enemies that we find down here in the catacombs of Hyrule Castle, the snakes, the rats, and the bats, particularly the rats and the bats, or rats and the snakes, Lord, animals, have some particularly good examples of how rough RNG can be. We saw in that Snake's room in, I think, the second or third area of the catacombs, Chex had a pretty good pattern, reacted decently to just having one snake in the way and booming him out of there.
Yeah, and that key rat in the last room can go way to the top, called the Seattle key rat, but fortunately none of them get that. But yeah, it's a lot of reaction to where stuff is or how to deal with stuff not getting hit. And we get through it, though. A 554 on Check's side. And a 556 on the other side. So just a couple seconds apart.
So now we can get to the real game, and right, Blue?
I mean, I guess this is the real game. But for me, it's like there's two real games, right? There's once you get the boots, then it feels like you're a little bit more in what A Link to the Past feels like. And then there's Dark World, which is where it gets fun and is also a lot harder, depending.
I think it's also important for us to note right here that both runners opted to get the Sanctuary Heart, the first safety that we have as an optional thing in game.
Yeah, and I believe they normally do that. Either this isn't just like a race strat.
Absolutely. I think for the most part, this tournament so far, we've only seen one, maybe two people skip Sank Heart.
Yeah, I've seen Andy skip it. I don't know if I've seen anyone else skip it.
I know Lanxion did it in his race yesterday against Wayne, skipped Sank Heart. So I guess there's at least two.
Yeah.
That just goes to show you how important it is, I guess.
Well, the main thing is it's practically free, right? It takes a couple seconds, and that's, that you can just make up with execution. It matters a lot if you're going for a low 123, but I think probably most runners can get, pretty low with the Sank Heart. And I know I've beat Ganon with one heart left a couple times. Like, it can matter somewhere, sometime to save a run.
And I remember 2 years ago now, wow, time flies, in my first ever casual play of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, I died to Ganon with 20 hearts and red mail. So, yeah.
Hey, we all start somewhere,
Man, that was nice. That was kind.
Yeah.
Thanks. That made me
That's
feel
what I try and tell myself,
warm and
too.
fuzzy. Meanwhile, we are in Eastern Palace, the aptly named palace on the eastern portion of the Hyrule Light World map. Both runners heading into this first manipulation that we have. They passed it now. The Skull Room, where we can spawn up to 4 Stalfos, and they manipulate it to ensure that we only have 2. Always nice to see only 2 on the screen. Always really frustrating when the third one pops up and you're like, what did I do?
Yeah, no kidding. Something else that they're going to be probably looking for, mostly in Eastern Palace, but in the early game here, is rupees. It's definitely nice to grab that red rupee when it drops, and it is the 4th rupee drop within that prize pack. So enemies that are in the prize pack, which are notably Popos in this palace, our little tentacly guys with the blue and the orange, they have a 50-50 chance to drop an item, and it's going to be rupees. So they're hoping to kind of watch out for where that red rupee is going to be and make sure they can hopefully grab it.
If not, there are a few other options that they do have. We only really need rupees in a few select situations, but this game is, like I said, almost as old as I am and is thoroughly optimized. So if there's one thing I've learned in watching this tournament, it's know your backups, know your options.
Exactly, yeah. If you don't get any rupees here, there's still stuff that you can do. It's just a little bit slower, especially in a race. But it's nice to get that red one because then you're really set up nicely to not bother with all the blue rupees later on, which we'll see after the Tower of Hera segment when we go to Agadim. So both runners still close on the same room here. Or close to that. It's a little bit hard to tell. There's some stuttering, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm having a tough time getting everything solid on one screen right now.
So they're both coming up to the Zelda Gamer Room here, which is a very RNG heavy room for just responding to how those 2 skeletons move, because there's a lot of different things they can do and you want to kill them really fast, but it seems like they both dealt with it pretty handily.
Now, this Armos Knights boss fight is our first major boss of the game. Much like some other bosses that I know we'll talk about, there's pretty much a script to it. If you do it perfectly, you'll have no issues. Unlike the next boss that we're going to see that really throws that RNG wrench into the cogs.
Definitely. And Chex just a little bit ahead here, putting up a 10:57 out of Eastern, and then an 11:01 on the other side. So about 4-second separation, but so far both on PB pace, which is what we love to see in a tournament.
Now we're talking to the old man Sahasrara.
I'm glad you were the one to say his name
boots.
because
Sahasrara, Salamanda, Zingle blah blah blah. No one knows. I say Sahasrara.
I just say whatever until I've hit about 13 syllables and then I call it.
I've heard Sahasrara, Sahasrala, you know.
So this is the first segment now that we have the boots where we'll see spin speed, which will come up a lot in the run. It's a minor glitch, and it's executed by charging your sword, and then 1 frame after you let go of it, hitting the dash button, and then triggering it by just touching a staircase, a manual staircase. And that allows Link to go in any direction at dash speed without having to go through the dash charge up animation or anything like that to switch directions. So some of the spin speeds in the game save a lot of time, and some of them save not quite as much time, like this library one here is one of the lesser time save ones.
Now, the only other thing that you have to understand about spin speed that's super important is that the game won't let it work unless you are making zoomy noises, like you're a race car driver.
Yeah, and if I had a nickel for every time I lost a run because I forgot to make the sound effect.
The game will punish you, man. I mean, if we had the runners' mics on, I'm sure you'd hear a lot of as they make their way towards that library to get our book, because reading is fundamental, as I remind us every day.
Yeah, personally, I go for more of a vroom, 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 vroom. But, you know, they all work. It all works the same. It. So now we're heading our way towards Desert Palace, which, again, is aptly named. It's a palace. It's in the desert. We have to read a book, and then these heads will spin and let us go in. That was that for you, Twin, and only you. Yeah, and this desert palace is, it's sort of designed to showcase the boots that we're just getting. You get a lot of long screens. The first key that we're going to get here requires the boots to knock a key off of a torch. It's really just a showcase of that brand new equipment that you have.
Yeah, I would definitely say that for the most part, these first 3 major dungeons that we're in do a really good job of teaching you the item to receive and really challenging you to think of it in a few different ways. And I think it's really nicely wrapped up, as we'll see in the Aghanim's Tower split towards the end of the Light World, where you're kind of using all the tools that you've gotten until then.
Yeah. And I kind of just thought of this like a couple weeks ago, but I think that you have to be a really good player to have a bad light world. And what I mean by that is, for most players until a certain level, the chunk of their time save is going to be in the dark world, because the dark world is so much harder. There's so much going on and places that you can lose time and safeties that you're getting there. And, even kind of beginner players are able to put up a pretty decent light world. And that only really starts to matter when you get to kind of the level that they're at here, or even, a little bit lower. And so, that's my new saying, is like, you have to be good to have a bad light world.
That is very true. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier when we were prepping for our Armos Knights fight, but the bosses, there are 3 of them, of Desert Palace, really throw our runners for a little bit of a loop. There's no necessary pattern. The first stage of the Landmolus fight, they will always spawn in the same places, but not necessarily jump in the same directions. So this is definitely a good time to see how our runners are going to deal with that RNG, how quick on their toes they're feeling today, and get a good idea of kind of what their arrow count's going to be when they get out of here. Because trust me, they're going in with 30, they're not coming out with 30.
No, I hope not, because if they're doing that, I don't know what they're doing.
Chex losing a little time by accidentally trying to set the red Igor on fire with the lamp.
It's not going to hurt him, unfortunately.
It's not, no.
But the big thing with this fight is to do it in as few cycles as possible. So we'll see how many Chex gets here.
Tough luck with those jumps, man. Gets the first wormy. Looks like we're gonna have a 4, I think, if I remember how to count. Probably don't, though.
And I'm trying to count on Chalmers' side, but it's not going well.
Yeah, no, I'm still jumping side to side on that one. So a 4 is nothing to laugh about. When I was still playing this game pretty regularly, I got a 3 cycle once, and the goal to run against that at my level was so tough.
Yeah, I'll bet. It's pretty hard to get that. You know, really good players. I mean, the best you can do is pretty much do it in 2 cycles unless you're in a rando or something like that where you have different equipment. But yeah, 3 is still pretty good.
NMG, which is the ideal time to fight Landmo in that category because you already have the fire rod.
And we did have a question in the chat about the new Popo strat, which I think is that room, the tall room a couple before you get to Landmo, and it's kind of a new thing to go underneath, and that makes it so you don't have to respond to really dumb Popo RNG, and you can just do the dash into the key dash into the door. Real easy without having to respond to Popos getting all out of alignment and in your way and dodging a B-mouse.
Check's taking a bump from that pickle on his way into our dark cave.
Yes, and they both just did fake flippers, which were tricking the game into thinking that we have flippers by screen transitioning immediately after jumping in the water before the game knows to check if you have flippers, which is only in the Japanese 1.0 version.
Yes, it's important to know that Link cannot swim unless he lies. Or later on he'll get some finger webs, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Meanwhile, he's found this lovely old man wandering through a cave and decided to take him to his other cave in exchange for a mirror.
Yep, Death Mountain is just a big system of caves.
So, yeah, so gets bonked by a cabbage on the way through that first spin speed, but manages to make it up. Gets bonked by another on their long bridge right there, but still gets it on the way back up. Really nice cutting off that dash to get that quick warp into our first sighting of the Dark World, but then a slight mistake in that mirror, debating on stopping to read a book or transitioning back to Light World.
Yeah, I think the deal with the old man is it suggested that he is like related to one of the 7 maidens. Like he was one of the 7 wise men. It's been a long time since I've played the game in English, and I don't read Japanese.
Well, maybe you should start learning.
That would be pretty cool. But I'm still going to mash through the text pretty fast if I can.
Now, on Chex's side of the screen, he's heading to our... I'm calling it an auto-scroller. Some people got offended when I called it an auto-scroller yesterday. This room to me is the equivalent of A Link to the Past auto-scroller. And if you don't like that, I respect you for your difference of opinion. Basically,
I'm going to allow it. I'm allowing it.
There are tiles. You gotta wait for the tiles to run out, and then the door will open. But you don't want the tiles to kill ya.
Yeah, and a slight difference here. We'll see Chalmers is taking out the boomerang to do some boomerang strats, on the first floor and the basement here a little bit, whereas Chex is opting to just stick with the mirror and not have that extra menu and not do those strats.
Definitely helps us out a little bit of a time save there. Now, speaking of RNG, we're going to see a few little tricks here, but we're also going to see some really funny enemies, the mini Moldworms in particular, and our final boss, the Evil Burger String, Moldworm himself, or herself. I'm not quite sure if they ever give Moldworm a gender themselves. Have some pretty tricky movement that can be really difficult for runners. So we're going to have some positive vibes in chat for them. I noticed Chex is opting to take the safety switch there just in case he gets a little too beat up. I know going into this bomb jump with 2.5 hearts, 3.5 hearts is not quite ideal in a tournament setting. But he places that bomb jump beautifully, and looks like Chalmers is going to bonk it, and I'm getting a little buffer. So I've got a big surprise once that ends.
And Check's grabbing a couple of those extra hearts there just to be safe for Moldworm.
Where I am now, Chex has had a lovely Moldworm fight. I'm gonna refresh the comms page just so I can make sure that I'm in sync again. If you guys don't mind, I'll be probably quiet. You might love it. Alrighty, so I'm back, and it looks like Chalmers has grabbed his lovely post Moldworm pixel pendant? Pixel pendant, wow. Chex, on the other hand, is making his way, assumedly, to his first tree pull.
Yep, that's what we're seeing here. So the way this works is you have to first pull the tree to trigger the blue rupees, kill 4 enemies without getting hit, and then pull the next tree to give you 4 red rupees. And the not getting hit part is important. We might see some different paths on which 4 enemies we kill. Chex did the pickle there as one of them, and the bush crab.
Chex getting that bush guard, but managing to juke him immediately is kind of hilarious to me. I still never understand why there are guards hiding in bushes, but alas. He's getting a really nice relic called the Master Sword. Hey, y'all, can we get some love emotes and hype emotes in chat for Chalmers? It really sucks when your internet's being a butt, and he's playing his ass off and telling us in chat that it should be stable now. So throw those love emotes in there. Let's show him some love.
And it's certainly looking good so far. So yeah, let's all knock on wood as suggested. So we got about a 30-second difference here, I think.
Yeah, 30-second difference, or like what, 3 blue balls? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it could change everything. You don't want it to. You hate to see that, and you definitely don't want to see it change the outcome of the race. But it certainly could close the gap here, or widen it for us. So we'll see how Aghanim is. He's never nice to me, but you know. We have our differences. We have our differences.
He is an evil wizard. You know that, right? Like, he's not a good guy.
I don't know about you, but I do get along with a couple evil wizards. I mean, not all of them, but like, have you like just sat and listened? Like, have you ever just listened to them and like heard what they have to say, heard their plots or their plans? Maybe they'd like you then.
Maybe that's why I'm single. I don't listen to men.
Well, you don't want to date an evil wizard. I mean, that's a big
I'm sorry,
red
did you
flag.
say something? Anyway, back to the game. Chex is heading on into Aghanim's tower. We're going to see some fun strats here. Yep, the arrow strat. That's kind of what I expected for those ball and chain guards. Here he's going to attempt fairy skip. Very nice no drops there. That'll hopefully come in handy later when we hit Turtle Rock. Meanwhile, on the refreshed internet side of the world, Chalmers is making his way into Aga Tower.
That's right, and he still has beams, and he's looking good on arrows, so we'll see a very similar strat here in this first room. Although, he misses the spin on the gold guard and takes a hit. So let's see how he handles the fairy skip, because having the beams is pretty key there. He's going to go with the dashes.
Manages it.
Yeah, dash killing is what makes them not drop the item, and we really don't want to see that here. T-Rock becomes really tight if you aren't do a fairy there. And also getting the fairy there, sword beams make several rooms just a bit faster. So the combo of those two things, just having a little room for error and being a little faster, is super nice.
I want to point out that Chalmers having a little bit of an issue in Dark Maze, but Chex having a run-in with that first blue guard in the second dark room, and here having a little bit of an issue with these red spear knights. Let's see how his Foreman's Basement looks. Beautiful. Great RNG. That second red guard didn't know what was happening until the end. And a beautiful key dash from Chalmers.
And we'll see Chalmers do those same couple of rooms now. And this is more, well, not quite, but more like what you wanted to see that room look like. With
a little closer,
the spins, the spins hitting the top guard and then being able to just use 2 slashes or beams to kill that second guard. And a quick circle of pots or Foreman's Basement. I want to convert. It's just new to me.
You have to do Foreman's Basement now, because that was coined by Super Nintendo Chalmers _.
Well, I'm just spitting in his face by not using it. That's
come on. Respect. Alright, so I'm gonna focus a little in on Chex here to count his blue balls if you wanna gosh darn it.
Yeah, I'll count
if you wanna focus on Chalmers.
Absolutely.
So we have 1 so far on Chex's side. These are a 50-50 shot after the first portion of each phase. 2 out of 2 possible blue balls so far. And 3 out of 3 possible. I know you guys can't see Chex's perfectly manicured hair and eyebrows right now, but he made a face.
I'm sure it looked good, though.
No comment.
We're still on 0 over on the other side here. And there's 1.
We are currently at 4 on Chex's side.
5 on 2 here now, yeah.
Some anger boomerangs into the wall as he groans in frustration. He didn't actually groan in frustration. Now, Chex doing a very good job of attempting to specifically hit Aga towards the center 6 blue balls to try and keep him from some larger 7 warps. Holy poo-poo. Again, if anyone in the tournament gets 15 blue balls, 8, then M. Kosler owes me drinks, and Chex himself actually owes me a wonderful romantic candlelit dinner. So...
Okay, well, we're at 3 over here, so this has really evened out the race. I guess this is, making up for Comcast or Spectrum or whatever.
That's 9. Oh, guys, look, Chex is in chat. That's 10.
Oof.
That's 11.
This is worse than I've ever had. Once you get past, there is a nice help command to show the odds, but once you get past, I think 8, you're at under a 1% chance. Yeah, and it's just...
Thank you, Fox. Yeah, 11 blue balls, I think is what I counted. Also, y'all understand that Chex was in chat and no one said anything. I'm so... Chat, we had a meme going. Thank you, Blue.
I just wanted to help out. Be a team player here.
Gosh, you really hate to see that, especially when you're ahead. He was ahead coming out of Tower of Hera. Had a pretty nice Aga Tower up until those 11 blue balls.
Yeah, I mean, anything could still happen, of course. There's other RNG that we have to deal with, how Helma is, and then the big other uncontrollable one is the Ganon warps, of course. Most of the other ones you can at least do something about throughout the game. But, I know in the preparation for the tournament, Dwayne said, very few races are going to be determined by blue balls. And of course, from past tournaments, that's kind of what you expect. But with 11 versus 3, this could end up being one of those for real. Let's hope that it's not still, though. But boy, Aga, not a nice wizard.
What a meanie. Maybe he didn't like Chex's haircut. Anyway, we're seeing our first use of rupees here, paying them to Kiki the monkey, who wanted 110 rupees to get into Palace of Darkness. What a Dark World monkey has to spend rupees on, I'm not quite sure, but he let us in, so we're happy.
Well, and it's not just 110 to let you into the palace. It's 100 to let you in the palace. It's 10 just to hang out with you. There's like a pre-fee, like just to even look at it. It always reminds me of Diablo 1 with Wirt, where you had to like pay him just to see his goods. Those are the true scam artists, the ones that you can't even get in without paying first.
Kiki is absolutely obsessed with Funko Pops. He's heading down to whatever the Dark World equivalent of Target is now to go get some.
Yeah, I don't know where you get that in Dark World. I've certainly
I feel
heard
like Target is
suggestions for what
actually
he
probably
buys.
a Dark World area. Like, every time I'm in Target, there are people screaming. I end up spending a ridiculous amount of money. So I feel like it's already the Dark World.
Look, I'm going to go ahead and say Walmart is the Dark World and Target is the Light World. Don't at me.
Oh, guys, we have some controversy.
Okay, so Chex just got the big key, and we're about to see the hammer jump here on his side.
I think that Chalmers already got the hammer jump.
Yeah, Chalmers is ahead, thanks to Aghanim being nice. So I didn't see how many buffers he had on the hammer jump
neither
there.
did I. Hammer Yump is an infamous and useful trick that we do in Palace of Darkness. It's a double pixel perfect bomb jump that allows us to skip 2 relatively slow rooms, one of whom we are in twice.
And we love skipping rooms. And we love clipping through rails and calling it a minor glitch.
We are not getting into that controversy here. Chex has a beautiful hammer jump with just a few little buffs.
Meanwhile, Chalm was able to take a little break here for one of the short cutscenes where you have to do no inputs.
We love to see it.
Oh boy, but I said that and then I got the synchronizing thing and then it just rolled Chalmers back. So
Pretend
I didn't say that
to
yet.
me. Oh my gosh, wow, Chalmers' wall is moving for the first time.
We've never seen it before in the history of Link to the Past.
So happy to my US friends, happy National Eat Your Noodles Day.
Excuse me, what day?
Eat Your Noodles Day.
I didn't have any noodles today. Are you mad at me, Anders?
No, I respect you. Looks like
That's all I hope for in life.
a little bit of a turtle party happening on Chalmers' side of the screen, but he makes it through. Chex is looking very nice on his.
That was how you want it to look.
Now, both of them heading into the Helmasaur King fight, which can go quite a few ways. Looks like Chalmers doing the traditional, and Chex both doing the... Oh no, Chex is going for the spin speed. Chalmers getting a little beat up by one of those frustrating fireballs and getting a second that caused him to fall back just slightly. Chex having a little bit of a nicer fight, but taking, again, a few little hits here and there. Both of them blowing up relatively at the same time.
Yeah.
So again, it's a race. I'm gonna refresh again because those timers are not synced for me, and that is not anyone's fault but my own.
Same here. We just got a notification to refresh again. But Chalmers, I don't believe, did spin speed Helma, which is kind of a newer thing. His PB doesn't have it, but I believe I've seen him do it in recent runs. So it's slightly slower, but it's still pretty fast. Definitely faster than just slashing. And it's a little bit less dangerous because it extends the hitbox of the hammer, which is the really nice part about it, is you get the dash sword hitbox. So you don't have to go quite as deep into Helmasaur's head to get those hits, but no problem with the other strat either. Probably used to it because I believe the spin speed didn't exist when he got his last PB in 2019.
That is correct. It was something that came to fruition during 2020, because what else are we going to do when we're sitting around at home in the middle of a panty?
Start using spin speed in random rooms where you don't need to move very far and see what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We are getting ready for very nice hammer dash from Chalmers.
Yep, and we need to go get the flute here. One of the most useful items in the game because it gets us places fast. You really want that as soon as you can get it in a speed run.
In no major glitches, we literally can't finish the run without it.
That's true. There's no way to get into Misery Mire without it.
But first, a shovel.
First, a shovel. But now we're in Thieves Town. Is this where you do the trivia thing?
Yeah, so to give you guys a little bit of an up and up, the way that this is going to work is that there is a maiden, a totally normal, beautiful maiden, who is in no way, shape, or form evil. And she is in a cage in the basement of Thieves Town. When our first runner picks up that maiden, I'm going to read a question to you twice. You have until the first runner catches the second runner catches the boss crystal to answer it. If you win and get the question right, you get a virtual thumbs up from me that you're not going to see because I'm not on camera. And maybe if you put your resume in, you can get a date too.
Where do I apply?
My DMs are wide open, baby. So Check's basically just a flute speed behind. Chomper's going for that spin speed there that I've never really seen in common practice. But good for him. It worked out and was pretty fun to watch.
You love to see it work. You love to see it work. Sometimes you don't love to see tricks in a race when they don't work, but you love to see it work. So despite our major blue ball discrepancy here, this isn't that far apart, honestly.
It really isn't. Chex was just going into the flute cutscene while Chalmers was exiting it. Chex having a few little issues with accuracy in terms of cutting off his dashes in certain places, which only bleeds a little time, but it's definitely going to add up if it keeps happening.
Definitely. I mean, it's easy to think, oh, like 10 frames here doesn't matter. That's less than a second. But, you know, there's over 500 screens on this game. I don't know exactly how many they are, but I do know that the 420th screen is somewhere in Misery Mire. Shoutouts to Fox for that being in one of his VODs.
Y'all. Anyway, Chalmers heading up on the Haunted Heckway, hoping for some good RNG, and it's beautiful, only a little bit of lag, no one in the way. You know that he is happy about that.
Yeah, I mean it's the best thing to get the good RNG, but it's really something if you know how this room works or even have a slight understanding to see how really good runners respond to the bad RNG. And Chex does not get the pixel lineup, but still gets to the room relatively fast.
Yeah, took
with
a heart
little
of damage.
Yeah. And so both of them going upstairs to bomb this floor to let light in, just in case, anyone has a light allergy.
We love a skylight. A little sunroof. Maybe he's thinking of moving in.
I mean, if I had to live in a dungeon, within this game, Thieves Town, probably not the worst one. You could have some fun going around the conveyor belts, kind of like an airport. And there's your maiden. There she is.
Alrighty, now that Chalmers is picking up our maiden, listen closely. Though often slicing through moblins, octoroks, and the like, Link has also been known to inflict harm on NPCs in the Legend of Zelda series. Who was the first NPC in the main series that Link could kill? Though often slicing through moblins, octoroks, and the like, Link has also been known to inflict harm on NPCs in the Legend of Zelda series. Who was the first NPC in the main series that Link could kill?
I've been thinking about this all week. I've been tossing and turning at 4 a.m. wondering who it is.
I don't believe that you're able to actually kill the old man in Zelda 1. But if I'm incorrect, please let me know. Ganon does not count because Ganon is technically an enemy. Foxlisk, that's a good thought, but all of the Gerudo in Gerudo Valley stand back up. Technically, Ace Zero, it is not the Great Deku Tree. The Great Deku Tree is murdered by the curse. Call me Kaiser, that is very funny and appropriate, but if they never existed, how could they die? Ooh. I'm not going to get into the meta here. Chex catches his crystal, so the answer, guys, that does not count, Fox. The answer is actually the character called Sakon in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Sakon is a thief who attempts to steal bombs from an old woman who owns a bomb shop in Clocktown. You can shoot him with an arrow, a fire arrow, or the hook shot, and the bombs explode, murdering Sakon on the spot.
I was expecting someone more innocent. This person at least is guilty of some crimes.
He is guilty of some crimes.
I guess it's a Nintendo game, so they kind of had to have that, right? So they both finished blind, and we have to do a couple of errands here in the Skullwood Split. We need to get 600 rupees because stuff's expensive in Hyrule. The flippers, the finger webs as you call them, cost 500 rupees and are very necessary to beat the game. So there's 2 300 chests here that we'll get, and we'll also upgrade our sword for the low price of 10 rupees.
Yeah, because I mean, what's better than taking a sacred artifact blessed by the gods, well, goddess in this case, and giving it to some dwarves you just met for 10 rupees who say they can make it all better?
I mean, you're coming at this with skepticism, but I'm just impressed that not only can they do it, they make it twice as effective, but it only costs 10 rupees. That craftsmanship for that price is a steal.
Yeah, it's not like he ordered a 10 rupee tempered sword off of wish.com. Come on, someone, that was a funny joke.
I totally laughed. I was just muted.
Now, heading our way back through the north of our village of outcasts, we're heading towards one of the most frustrating dungeons, in my opinion, Skull Woods. A series of backtracking and horrible gameplay mechanics in terms of the boss. Chalmers walking into, in my opinion, the second worst room in the game with these terrible mummies.
This is a very RNG heavy room.
Gets a little bit of a bump from that mummy. We don't like to see that, but it happens. Making it through mostly unscathed is very nice, though.
It was fast, though. So
yeah,
that is good. Sometimes a bump can be okay if it's still fast, but it also depends on how dangerous you find the back half of the dungeon.
Ooh, Chex making it through pretty well. Gets caught a little bit on that left-hand side rail, but still very nice. Another bomb jump on Chalmers' side of the screen. Chalmers opting to take a bonk right there just to expand the possibility of the jump getting right. And it works out for him great, so. Bressingham 6, we will get there, I promise. Trust me. Or Bitey can just, ruin it by telling the answer. It's fine.
That's just like his opinion, though. Who knows what's
but it's also my opinion, and I'm right.
Oh yeah, I mean, I kind of agree, to be honest. Chomps is oof.
It's a mean room.
But Chalmers, not scared of that extra bump from Mummy Room, still does all the fastest possible strats, skips the fairy that could have given him the free healing, just because that's the level that they're at. And we see a little rod dash out of that room, the mummy heckway, as you might call it.
I do call it that. Chex not doing that swag dash, but still getting through very nicely there. Meanwhile, Chalmers having his moth fight. If you know me, you know I'm not a big fan of it. Ooh, a bit of frustration on Chex's side getting out of that last key room.
Yeah, that's not exactly how you wanted to see it, and then he also had to wait for the Wall Master coming down, but maybe Moth will be a little bit nicer. Moth is kind of a trolly boss because at least in the Japanese 1.0 version, cannot take hit damage when you bump Moth against the spikes.
And Chex did have a very nice Moth fight, only getting one spike out of the wall compared to the 5, I think, from Chalmers's. Chalmers really having to weave and bob on that conveyor belt to make sure that he slashed that bug.
Yeah, so I think we'll see the gap close a little bit here. We were about 21 seconds apart after the end of the last split. Aghanim really didn't want us to have a fun race today, but we're doing it anyway.
Absolutely. Spleety. Chex got 11 blue balls, and what did Chalmers get? 3?
Yeah. Yeah, 3.
3.
So I think we went from being about 21 seconds apart to about 15, but it's hard to say. I don't know if it's Comcast or Spectrum or who's the culprit here, but they're worse than Aghanim tonight.
And we lost him. But we can hope and send some good vibes. Again, that positive karma. Send some nice hype and love emotes in the chat. We all know how tough that is. I was personally streaming earlier, no promo, and I was just dropping random frames like nobody's business, so I get it.
Well, a couple random frames would not actually be bad compared to this right now, unfortunately. Yeah.
Y'all don't follow Blue. Blue consistently not only runs this game and is a great human and a phenomenal artist. So really, if you're going to follow someone off of this stream who's not playing the video game in front of you right now, follow Blue, who is also taking part in this tournament. I'm just here for kicks and gigs.
But I don't know anything about Pokemon, and you do. And that might,
I can talk to you a lot about Pokemon. And, I will say the number one seed of this tournament did show up in my stream and asked me to try and explain the plot of the Kingdom Hearts games, and I did my best. It was a treat. Meanwhile, those finger webs I was talking about, Chex is going to get them by giving 500 rupees to this giant Zora who gives you the severed hand of one of his brethren. And now we can swim without lying, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't want to lie, especially not in Swamp Palace where we don't know of a way to actually do the entire dungeon with that one fake flipper trick that we know, because there's a lot of swimming and they're not all near the edges of screen transitions.
Now, fun fact, and I can thank Chexhuman for this one, along with Glenn and Toshso, who have shown me so many crazy major glitches. There are ways to get through it without the flippers in major glitch categories using combinations of hook pushes and I don't know the words for things, Ancilla something. So if you're into that, there you go. A really nice start to that Ice Palace for Chex so far. Had no trouble getting into that warp. And, this is a dungeon that is pretty difficult, but honestly, when you look at how long you actually spend in the dungeon, it's a really quick dungeon with how we do it. We have one big, in my opinion, you have one big sequence break in this entire run that's pretty mandatory, and it's in this dungeon. It's the Ice Palace bomb jumping. We're getting there.
That's right, yep. And actually that route was known for a long time because it was in a TAS using hover, which used to be thought to be not RTA viable a long time ago. And so I think that TAS was from 2003 by Legidius. And then Tampa later in his 2008 TAS thought that it wasn't possible, but once he played around with this room, realized, yes, you can bomb jump. And then that was kind of the start of people doing this route with Ice Palace in this order.
So you're here with the textbook history and awesome stuff. First off, amazing bomb jump from Chex. Very nice to see. I want to throw it back to AGDQ 2020, where I was learning this run with help from all our friends in chat, and no one who I could find could actually get me through the game because they hadn't learned IPBJ yet. Chex clipping into the side of that staircase, but unfortunately sliding to the left-hand side, which does lose us a little bit of time there.
Yeah, not everyone goes for that stair clip. And we're coming up on Cold Stare on Chex's side here, who is a very dangerous boss in terms of, you don't usually have full carts coming in because of taking damage to do the Ice Palace bomb jump and then also to get through that spike faster. And then his puffs do 4 hearts of damage, whereas the falling ice do 2. And we get a little bit of a puff party, but that's still pretty clean. If I did that, I would be extremely happy.
Chex shrugged and his hair was still perfectly manicured. And Bidey, you're very likely correct. And I apologize if I say anything misleading there. Feel free to jump in and correct me. I personally do think it does lose a little bit of time because of how you have to walk back around the staircase, but I could be wrong, and I'm happy to admit when I am.
Yeah, I think my understanding with the stair clip is if you don't save time if you end up on the left side, and you also usually take damage on the left side too, just based on I think there's an invisible spike in that room or something. I hope someone knows because it's such a weird thing to mess around with that.
Oh, baby, we're getting a nice little ZSR3 raid. Hey, ZSR3 raiders. Just to get you up to speed, we are in the middle of a Link to the Past No Major Glitches tournament race between Chexhuman and SNES Chalmers underscore. We're doing our best to get SNES Chalmers underscore's feedback on us, having a little bit of an internet issue, but we're a little past halfway through the run. I know for a fact that Chex is heading into Swamp Palace. I assume that Chalmers is already there. I don't know. This is a very tight race. Very good to see. So Swamp Palace is a bit of a frustrating dungeon when you really look at it, because there's a lot of back and forth. You know, you go into one room, you push a switch, you go backwards, then you swim across, and then, you know, not much we can do about it. But it's a really cool dungeon to really see the mechanics of in various categories. And having to use the flippers, again, I think that this is another example of you have to get an item and you have to be able to use that item.
Right, and swimming, like a lot of these players are going to show.
So both runners super close by. So both runners super close by each other, heading to try and get to that big key at the end of this dungeon before we go back to the center. Some fancy technique that we may see here, totally negligible, but we might see a really sweet hammer dash that I just think looks cool. It doesn't really do that much for you, but it's still cool to watch if they do it, and if they don't, thank you, Chex, for doing it.
Yep, there it is. It's such a small time save that if you miss it once, you're definitely losing like 20 plus frames. So some high level players opt to just not bother with it.
Yeah, so I have a lot of friends. I'm kidding. A lot of my friends who I watch when I was learning the game, they're higher level runners, especially higher level than me. And they would come by, and one day I had seen it on someone else's stream, and I did it, and everyone was like, "Why are you doing that? OMG!"
Good old strat shaming.
Well, they were like,
see it.
The thing was that I managed to get it the once, and they're like, "You got to be careful with that." And then the next time I missed it, so I learned. Shout outs to Blue in the chat. Thumbs up right over there. Really nice statue drag room for Chex. Had a really good reaction to pretty much everything that was happening.
Yeah, and this is such a very reaction heavy dungeon. Other than the boss fight and getting the zero cycle, there's not a lot of like tricks in this dungeon that require like heavy, you know, crazy inputs or anything. It's just a lot of like clean movement and reacting to RNG, which you know, some people really like it for that reason. I know Josh is a big fan of this dungeon.
Ace, it's not that anything is a bad strat necessarily. It's just more, if you miss the hammer dash into the big key room in Swamp Palace, you're wasting your time. Let's see if either of our runners are lucky enough to get that ideal 0. Chex definitely doesn't because he gets pinned to the wall.
A little trouble over on Chalmers' side too. Don't think we're going to see it there either. Both of them a little bit low on health,
bullied. Oh, look, Chex is in chat saying some swamp. But a very nice quick kill.
If Moldorm is a string of hamburgers, Argus is popcorn chicken, right?
Well, now I want some popcorn chicken. You know I'm on a diet.
You should have had dinner before we commentated.
I did have dinner, but I'm dieting.
Well, I'm sorry to bring up food again, but you did bring it up first with Moldorm.
I also did bring it up with National Eat Your Noodles Day.
You're really digging your own grave here. So the Swamp Maiden is the most talkative of maidens, which is, you always want to swipe right on her. I don't even know if right is the good one or the bad one. I'll be honest here.
I'm eating some baked chicken. I eat some protein and stuff.
So we were having some hiccups and some stream issues before, and we were refreshing on our end as well, but I believe both runners get Ether and Ice Rod in the Mire split. That's what I saw kind of researching.
You are
them
correct.
at the time.
Based on my history with them.
And that is technically the fastest. It's maybe a little bit more dangerous in that, your health in Misery Mire matters a lot. You really want Sword Beams in Mire 2 to make it fast. And you also, you don't want to take a lot of extra damage because of the intentional damage on the boss to do that boss fast. So Death Mountain is very RNG and very dangerous. So you don't see tons of people doing this anymore. It's not gone or anything, but you see a lot of Ether in Swamp and Ice Rod in Turtle Rock. And then Boyan gets everything in Swamp. I've been calling this errands. I heard this technicality of shopping versus errands talked about before, and I think it's very right. No one's spending any money here. We're just running some errands, like picking up the dry cleaning. Which I guess does cost money too.
I will say that M. Kostler did bring up a good point. You are spending time to do this, and as we know, time is money.
That's true, especially in a speed run. We want to go as fast as possible. And Kostler also mentioned the hook climb, which is the reason that it is potentially faster to do this in Mire is by having the hook shot. You can then sword climb with your sword out and doing an item dash all the way up those stairs, and it's a little bit faster than you could otherwise climb stairs, and those Death Mountain stairs are very long. So both runners are going to pick up that rock from the bottom side, which is a setup for spooky action at a distance, which we'll see in the basement of Mire in a couple of minutes.
Little strobe warning thing I would have liked to have said earlier, but I apologize I didn't catch it. It's a game from the 90s, y'all. So we're going into a really input-heavy room. This Mire 2 can be very technique-heavy, so let's see how they both do there. Completely synced up in my screen, but I have no idea what that means anymore. Very nice from Chex. Chalmers having to go back for the Ropa? No one's correcting me, so I'm going to say, yeah, the Dark World ones are Ropas, right? Are you kidding me? It's a Popo!
The blue and orange ones are the Popos, and then the like green ones are the Ropas, I believe, yeah.
One's in the light world, one's in the dark world. They look the same. I need to start remembering. Popos are horrible and evil because I have a friend named Popo. Who
That's
you
how
know
you
too.
know. That's how
So,
you know.
okay, good, got it.
He does lie to us and kill us. You more often than not. I haven't played that in a long time.
Yeah. Shout out to LOL Darth Popo on Twitch. Meanwhile, we are lighting some fun little torches over here, which put us into an interestingly long cutscene where the screen rumbles, but we never technically see what happens. But it's important.
Yeah, I think this is the longest break you get from doing inputs in the entire run. Obviously, some of the crystal cutscenes are a bit longer than this, but you still have to mash. And so that'll get us the big key, and we'll get the cane, and then we'll head to the basement. And I'll just start explaining now. Spooky action at a distance allows the fire rod, based on the elevation level of the bird. So what we did by picking up that rock underneath is just change where he left the screen. By doing that, we can expand the hitbox or the reach of the fire rod so we can hit crystal switches from very far away. And that saves us bombing a wall. It saves us dashing way up to hit a switch twice. So it just saves, I think it's about 13 seconds across the whole basement.
It's a very useful little spooky action glitch. I know if you're the type of learner that I am, I'm a very much see, touch, feel kind of learner. I have a lot of trouble taking direction from someone who I can't ask direct questions to and have them see me and see what they're doing. So, I never implemented spooky action glitch. I just never got there, never got to that point. And that's okay, you know?
I put it off for a long time, and it's too bad because it's kind of free in the sense that you only lose the time of messing it up, really. Otherwise, the basement kind of works out about the same.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. Shout outs to Mooglemod, though, who personally showed me how to do it, along with a couple other people. There's a lot of great runners that will teach and share their knowledge in the community and help people out. Several of them in chat here tonight. So if you're watching and you are intrigued by this run, definitely reach out to people, try it out. There's a lot of tutorials out there too.
Yeah, I was not a speedrunner or a Link to the Past person before I met this community, and I can honestly say that there's some really good people. You just have to be willing to put in the effort to be a good person and talk to people. Don't do what Yoho's saying. Yoho will always lie to you. Very nice video fight over here.
Yeah, and this gap has closed up quite a bit here. They're only about 10 seconds apart at the end of Swamp, and I think we're maybe going to see that close up a little bit even more still.
Y'all stop lying, please.
I'm going to try their advice right now because I would like to be a speedrunner one day. I'm working on it. I'm trying to gain the confidence first, but I think I could do it.
Buddy, you're in a speedrunning tournament.
I don't know if you've seen my races, though.
I have.
Okay, so we are, in fact, seeing... that is a gold mire for Chex. And he did pull ahead. Nice. Yeah, now we got about a 10-second difference, but it's in the other direction now.
Chex having to double back for that spin speed there before heading past the squirrels. You know, that gold really looks nice with Chex's new haircut.
I think you think every color goes with it, though, so I don't know. But I agree. I happen to agree.
Yo, it's 2021. Nice we're over that. I have moved on.
So that fairy skip that we did earlier in Aga Tower, dashing through those guards to kill them, preventing the fairy from coming up in the prize pack, because we don't really kill anything else in the prize pack in general unless things go wrong, other than one mini Helmosaur on the Hammer Yump Bridge in Pod, and the fairy is the second item in the prize pack. So depending on the 50/50s that they get here, it could come up as early as the room before Chomps, or later. It's going to come from a Pokey if they get it. It could not come up at all if RNG is also really not nice to them, which it has not been nice to at least one of our runners tonight.
Both of them have had a little bit of frustration, I would say. We are hoping to preserve that fairy. In my opinion, and most of the opinions that I've heard from other runners, the ideal is to get it before that Chain Chomp's room, because those Chomps can hit you hard. Like I've mentioned before, it's difficult. They hit hard. It's my least favorite room in the run, and you're already having to take typically an intentional bit of damage in the next room that Chex is going into. The
And
rollers.
You're also taking one right here, which loses you the sword beams too. And the sword beams also make quite a few rooms faster going through this dungeon here.
Absolutely. I want to point out that looks like... well, now I have a buffer, so hold on. Well, I was going to say Chex got the quick hook on the Torches room.
This roller room is really tight movement. It's actually hard to get that dash back through and not take more than one hit unless your movement is really clean, which I've done it, but it's only in practice, and it's really, for me, it's really tight to do. And there's a lot of damage that Chalmers is taking. Coming into Chomps with less than 4 hearts means he could get one-shotted by him, unless he gets the fairy here, which, there it is. Probably a sigh of relief on his end to see that right there.
Chalmers is a pretty chill dude. Does take a Chain Chomp to the face, though.
Yeah, and it looks like, just based on his hearts, that Chex also got the fairy right before Chomps and didn't get hit, so...
He did. He had a very solid Chomps room. I forgot to mention. I apologize for interrupting you right there.
No, it's all good. Just because it's you, though. It's going to be nice to have those beams here. Oh, and this RNG in this Poke Room is one of the hardest ones, but it can technically be the fastest one, although he got bunnied, so it's not going to be the fastest for him.
Very true, but still not taking any damage. Definitely worse things could happen. Let's see what happens on Chalmers. Chalmers having a different RNG, but also getting bunny beamed.
Yeah, really I think the hardest one is that bottom left one, because you don't just spin it. You also have to, if you're doing it fast, you have to kind of poke dash that, or just poke the that guy out of your way, because otherwise he's gonna just ruin your day. These floating heads, what is their deal?
We may be about 10 seconds ahead, so I'm gonna refresh and see what's going on. See, Blue and I, we're like, it's like we have ESPN or something. We just see ahead of you guys.
It's actually a handicap for me because I think so slow. They just wanted to let me be synced up.
So now on our screen, Chex is going through the dark maze platform room, maybe. At least where I am. Chalmers heading through that second roller room and heading down to the same room Chex is currently exiting.
Yeah, and that's another really potentially tight movement room if you're doing the fastest strats without the beams. And he actually opted to wait a little bit there just to not have to deal with it. And Chex is bonking on the laser skip there, but gets it on the second go.
Yeah, bonks are typically roughly 70 frames of time loss. That's one of the only frame-wise time losses that I have memorized, so I want to point it out when it does happen.
But losing 70 frames there versus the other ways that laser skip can go wrong is probably not the worst thing.
And we have seen that in this tournament already, unfortunately. Nothing hurts more than opting to ignore that safety door only to get lasered in the face and having to redo the entire dungeon, more or less. Very nice backdoor work by Chex. He knows what he's doing back there. Blows up 2 of the heads. He's already ready for that 3rd one to come on out.
And Chalmers going in the back too, but there's a lot of buffering for me. I think there's probably some Comcast or Spectrum issues over there, but it looks like he cleanly gets the back door as well.
I want to make sure that everyone knows that it's technically past my bedtime. But I wanted to hang out with my friend Blue and watch these 2 runners, so anything I may say cannot be used against me. This is Durs After Dark, technically, but not on purpose.
So we'll see just how far apart we are soon when we hit those split timers. Chex, I think, he doesn't split the blue balls separately from the Aghanim Tower, but he was basically tied with his PB after Hera, a minute behind after Aghanim, and is still consistently a minute behind. So if that's all just blue balls and not the execution in the tower, he is running like almost exactly with his PB right now. It's pretty great. And it looks like we got about 22 seconds separating them here going into Ganon's tower. This is one of the hardest and most technical places in the game to do fast. You know, some of our best runners are going to do it in under 7 minutes, which is the very few elite runners of this game. And then, you know, we're probably going to, hopefully, if everything goes right, see some low 7-minute times on this split. But, you know, starting out, it's very hard for, you know, beginners to get this split under 10 minutes even.
Absolutely. As you would expect from the last dungeon in the game, this is a very technique-heavy dungeon that our runners have optimized very completely.
And we use, you know, just about every tool that we've learned, and we see some of the Light World bosses come back with a slight twist, just to kind of show you how much more powerful Link has gotten throughout this adventure with all the, you know, mostly items that we've skipped grabbing in this speedrun, but, you know, he certainly has a few more hearts at least.
Check's having a little bit of trouble in those fire snakes and having to do a bit of a slower strat, but played it cool, kept it safe.
Yeah, he loses 1 heart there, which it's nice to not, but it shouldn't make a huge difference. You know, unless it comes down to like him being able to skip that arrow chest versus not, but it's not going to look like that, I don't think. Maybe it will. And so our first refight is the Armos Knights, and now they're on ice. So, little choreographed ice dance. We still hit 2 into the one on the left and wait for him to come around. So it's just 1 more hit, because otherwise that would have spawned a red knight, which then resets its health, and we have to waste a bunch there. And he does skip that arrow chest, which is, it's always good to have enough arrows to be able to do that, because it does save a little bit of time.
Absolutely, and we can expect some drops from those mimics, I would assume, in the next 2 rooms, but you never know.
And Chalmers definitely going to have to grab it. It lagged a little bit on my side there, but he only had 1 arrow, and now he has 11, so it's just those small things. And yeah, I think Chex had 30 arrows going into Armos, so that's a pretty solid arrow count.
So I normally make fun of Chex for his Ice Armos strategy, because I think he did it wrong once in 2019, and I've never let him forget it, but I guess I have to let him go today, don't I?
He did do it cleanly today, so we'll at least give him today. Tomorrow, when he's streaming and we're not restreaming it on Zelda Speedruns, you can go harass him again. That's fine.
I would love to. On the other hand, he is heading into Gauntlet, a series of 5 relatively frustrating combat-heavy rooms. Kostler, no.
I hope I might need to go back and look at all these clips. I hope they're all of you.
They are. They're all of me from the ADRMG tournament last year. I'm not good with words. I always have people write them down for me.
So we're just a couple rooms apart here, but the Gauntlet is... a lot of the rooms are very RNG heavy. Some of them are a little bit easier to deal with, like that last one there, because you can... It doesn't even look like the fire rod hits that guy on the left, but if you just move like 1 pixel to the left out of that door, that fire rod shot will hit. Oh, and 2 missed rod shots by Chex there, which that
he
means
may want to
he's
get
lower
that
on magic.
Extra.
Yeah,
he'll probably get the extra magic and possibly do some safety strats in torches or Wizrobes. Apologizing again, I totally cut you off. I got excited.
I'm excited too, because this is still pretty close, and that's that kind of little thing that could even it out by just a few seconds.
Trust me when I say there's nothing worse than getting to Torches 1 and not having any magic.
Yeah. At least it's like there's a strat, but it's you don't want to have to deal with that. I think he has enough.
There's a strat?
Well, you can grab the bottom. You grab this right pot, or we're not going to see it. You grab the right pot, and then you go light the bottom torch, and then you go around, because the bottom torch has a magic on top of it in that pot that we don't pick up.
To be honest, I gave up the run when that happened to me. I was like, well, I guess I'm time to quit.
At least you never soft locked the game right here in a run. That's one of the worst things to possibly see.
I've heard about that, and I've tried to be very careful about that one. Chex evening out through the last portion of Ganton's Tower, heading into our old burgery friend. Maybe. Yep, alright, very nice. I'm not even having to use those iframes with the hook shot. So we like to see that. This next room is deceivingly difficult with the ice and the conveyor belts and the bumpers, but Chex is making it through beautifully. Let's hope that he has a little better luck on Aga 2 Electric Boogaloo than he did with the first one.
Yeah, that's what you hope to see. Aga here can still give blue balls, but only his real form and on the second and third of the cycle. So there's 3 on that hit. So he's probably hoping that he gets a good lineup and not a blue ball here, which there's a blue ball. So there's no way that could have been a 2 cycle anyway. So maybe missing that hit won't be too big of a deal if he still makes this into a 3 cycle. Ooh,
but it's a 4 cycle.
Not. So now we're talking 4. I'm going to watch Chalmers now. If I can.
I'm hoping that one of us can. I'm currently buffering about a minute-ish behind where Chex is.
I think we're either on the 3rd or 4th cycle for Chalmers here.
Either way, we still have a very close race.
I think it's a 4 or a 5. There's just a lot of lag, so it's hard to tell. But
yeah,
there's not a lot separating us. I mean, Chex still has to nail Ganon to win this race.
And
or at least not have a tragedy happen, which he has a lot of health for a player of his skill level, so he can take a couple hits and still be okay.
Oof. This is where I start to have to remind myself to breathe. Very nice use of the hookshot there to avoid those hits from those fire bats and the fireballs. 1 warp already, 2 warps already. Man, these warps.
The RNG loves Chex today. And I think if not for those blue balls, now he would have been ahead of his PB if he matched his blue ball count in the PB, I think.
But you know what they say, if that hadn't happened, what else would have?
Right, you could get terrible RNG somewhere else. Although he's still getting a lot of warps, so.
Oh, very lot of warps.
And he gets 1 hit on before the torch glitch. gets the torch glitch, which we've seen that missed in a few races in the tournament, unfortunately, so far, and that can make a difference.
Now, Chalmers for me is completely blacked out, so I do not know where he is there.
I think he missed torch glitch. I didn't see how many hits he got in or what happened, but yeah, he did have to light that right torch, so it's definitely out.
We do not like to see that. Get your GGs in chat for both of our runners because we are getting close there. Chex pops the pig.
And very importantly, not soft locking the victory, which did happen to Bitey earlier today.
Oh no!
Well, not the victory, but the game finish. He had to fight Ganon one more time because if you try and be swag and rod dash during that scene and you have no magic, I guess, that can cause you to not be able to get out of that animation, which I just learned today. I learn new things about this game every single day.
Yeah, like the fact that Link's uncle was an apple farmer.
So on his splits... Oh, wait, we have the official time here. Yeah, 1:27:39.
1:27:39. Beautiful time for a race of that sort.
Yeah, and
let's see if we can get him in here for an interview.
Yeah. And Chalmers finishing up over here, still having to light the torches. I mean, the other thing, too, is magic. Like, when you miss that torch glitch, not only do you have to physically go through the act of lighting them both, but you also, you only get 8 shots with the fire rod with the full magic bar, and, you have to light 2 every time, so that really means you have to use the lamp and go slower. You drop your sword charge when you use the lamp. It's no fun. It's a real, downer to end the run.
We are joined by Chexhuman, and Chex, I do have to ask, first off, get your GGs in chat for Chalmers. But yes, Chex, please. Did you break a mirror, run under a ladder, cross a black cat? What did you do to have today's luck?
You have to light 2 every time, so that really means you have to use the lamp and go slower. You drop your sword charge when you use the lamp. It's no fun. It's a real downer to end the run.
We are joined by Chexhuman, and Chex, I do have to ask, first off, get your GGs in chat for Chalmers. But yes, Chex, please. Did you break a mirror, run under a ladder? I think we're going to get Chalmers in here. Hopefully we can. All right. With that beep, I believe we are also joined by SNES Chalmers _ GG maybe?
Hello?
Chalmers? Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, hello.
Hi, Chalmers. How are you doing? GG.
A little flustered, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you.
Big GGs for holding it out. I know that is one of the most stressful things that can happen.
Yeah, I don't want to really go into that because it was frustrating, but I do want to say huge GGs to Chex because he had 11 blue balls and he still put me in the dumpster. So that was fun. And he just really outplayed me there, and it was nice. It was a good race.
Very much. So can you talk us through some of your match for us? Like, what were some things that you thought went really well, things you could have done maybe a little bit better, and things that were just RNG kicking you in the butt?
Honestly, I just really wasn't zoned in during the run because I kept trying to reconnect my internet. So I can't really call on specifics, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of your bad RNG. You got average 3 blue balls, but you had to deal with the RNG of what, like leaning over and resetting your router every crystal cutscene or something?
Just pretty much reconnecting OBS. But if I actually have to give some good points to the run, Meyer Turtle Rock, or not even really Turtle Rock, Meyer and G Tower were probably the best segments of my run. I had a really nice G Tower. I think it was like a 720 or 722 or something like that. And I will take that in a race any day of the week.
Absolutely. This is going to be our testing 1 2 3 to see if we can hear Chex. I think he's currently muted. He might be on push to talk.
Also, really quickly, while Chex is still on mute, huge shout-outs to Cubs for having to deal with that. I apologize, so thank you.
All right. Any thoughts from you while we're getting this all situated right now, Blue?
Hello.
I mean, that was just a good race to see, and I think we've seen both runners on PB paces, and I think if they, later in this tournament, we very well could see a PB from them, or offline, or not offline, but not in a race setting. I think it's coming soon.
I want to, before he thinks that something's wrong, I did hear Chex say hello, so we can hear you now, Chex.
Hooray! GG's.
There we go. Yeah, GG.
So, Chex, I was asking earlier, I don't know if you heard, but did you piss off a witch or walk under a ladder to get 11 blue balls and what seemed like 15 Ganon warps?
I don't remember any ladders, witches, or black cats, but I maybe I did something unintentionally.
I paid egg on him off. I'm sorry.
Oh no!
I wish that you could just do that. I wish that that's how it worked.
I slid him a couple of Lincolns under the table, and he did what was good for me.
2 gift subs to Chex's channel? Or?
Oh gosh. So Chex, were you watching along with the restream at all, or were you just trying to stay in the zone?
Yeah, half and half. I was watching.
Oh goodness. It was a very good race. Can you talk about some of the stuff that you think went well or could have gone better? We already went through some of this with Chommies.
I got a gold mire, so that was good. Everything else was just kind of average and pretty good. So I feel pretty good about it. And I was kind of laughing because I don't think I've ever had 11 blue balls, and maybe I've had it one time in a run, but maybe it was rando. I don't even know, but definitely no more than 11. So
well, you're lucky you didn't get
fun.
15. There is a rule in this tournament.
Oh yes, I've heard this from Anders on comms.
Probably, yeah, numerous times. I make the same joke over and over again. Chalmers, were you able to watch any of the restream, or were you just trying to keep things chugging along?
I was watching the restream. My upload speed is the only thing taking a hit, so I could watch the whole restream. And
oh wow,
there was hope. There was hope during part of that where I was like, "Stop paying attention to the internet, just keep playing."
Absolutely.
After I saw the end of the light world, there I was like, "Oh my god, there's a chance."
Right.
Well, there's almost always a chance. You never know what could happen. A bad chomps could just screw up T-Rock and you lose a couple minutes there, or it's a long game with a lot of tricks to execute, and just like one wrong input can really just throw a whole thing.
Oh, for sure.
I do have to ask, Chalmers, can you talk me through the beginning of your Turtle Rock? Because I blinked, and then Blue goes, "Oh, thank goodness he got the fairy drop before Chomps."
I just took a lot of damage in the overworld. I kept looking over and then kept looking back at the screen, and I got hit by a bunch of squirrels and balls, and it was a classic Death Mountain.
Sounds actually pretty average. Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
I didn't get the Waffle House. That's kind of part of the issue. I got stuck in between a couple squirrels, and then that just kind of threw me off. But yeah, that was pretty much it. I just had low health going into it.
So how was the race going up to Ganon? Because I didn't watch during that part.
Good. So, Light World was super close. And then, obviously, you got 11 blue balls. And you were about 30 seconds behind after that. Chalmers got 3 to your 11.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a... sorry to interrupt you, Anders.
No, go
it's just
for
kind
it.
of an attrition thing. Like, you just caught up in these little increments kind of in each split until you got that golden mire. And I think you were about 10 seconds behind entering the mire split. And then you came out 10 seconds ahead after mire. And then it was pretty much just kind of maintaining that lead most of the way. And I think it kind of held roughly, going into Ganon.
Yeah, I would say a lot of the big stuff that happened, like attempting... both of you having very similar issues in the Swamp Vitreous fight.
Mm-hmm.
Attempting there. I mean, both of you got bullied by
Argus.
Argus. Sorry, my brain. I played this game once, I swear.
Yeah, I looked over and we both did this hook shot upwards. That was, I was just trying to get out of there. It's really silly.
It was just those little sync ups that kept happening. It's like, ooh, well, this might turn the tide a little bit. Nope. It's all the same.
We're both a couple of idiots.
But hey, you're our idiots, and we love you for it.
You're too sweet.
Blue, do you have anything else to ask or add?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we kind of covered the key points of things that happen in the race, and I'm just glad that it wasn't decided by that Aghanim. That Aghanim is awful to get, but it didn't turn out to like decide the race because it was 10 seconds difference or something like that.
You guys gave us a real race. That is very, very true. I mean, I'm probably gonna take some melatonin because Lordy. Runners, do you guys have anything you'd like to add? Thank you, Cubs, for popping that stuff in there. Like I said earlier, please remember to throw these guys and definitely Blue a follow. But runners, do you guys have anything else you'd like to add?
It's been really fun. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, you first. You first.
Okay, it's just been a really fun group stages. I've enjoyed the tournament so much, so thank you, commentators and organizers and ZSR.
Yeah, I have my last 2 matches tomorrow. I have one at 1 p.m., one at 8 p.m. I don't think they're getting restreamed, and that's probably for the best, considering I have to call my ISP. But huge shout-outs to ZSR for hosting us. Big shout-outs to the commentators for having to go through that. And thanks for everyone in the tournament and the organizers of the tournament. It's a good time. It's a good way to bring the community together, and it's always fun. So, yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks again, and we'll hand it over to our lovely restreamer.
Extend my GGs. Congratulations as well to both of you.
Thank you.
Chalmers, good luck ripping someone a new one tomorrow.
Oh, you better believe it.
Chex, Chalmers mentioned, do you have any races left, or was this your last race?
It was my last.
Well, we are getting toward the end of the group stages. Those brackets are going to start taking shape here soon. So it will be interesting to see how things end up. I know we have a couple matches scheduled for tomorrow. Let me pull up my calendar. 7 o'clock, Parisian v Chimo. And, oh my god, 11:59 Eastern tomorrow night. New York Rambler and Satan Spawn. My ass is going to be asleep for that. We'll figure out who's going to restream that one later.
So this was already, like, my bedtime is about 2 hours ago because I'm old. And
you're also in Eastern time.
I am
in
Eastern
different time zones here. It's a like, community that spans the entire globe pretty much. We have people running this all over the world.
And they were like, oh, is anyone interested in commentating this midnight frickin' thing? And I was like, nope.
Not going to happen. But no, we have those. We have some other things. Some Ocarina of Time randos, Skyward Sword rando, Twilight Princess 90%. In fact, we're going to go raid a Skyward Sword randomizer match that's on ZSR 2 right now. But please keep an eye on the ZSR schedule. There will be more. Well, at least I hope there is. Again, thank you very much, both Chex and Chalmers, for being here tonight. Thank you, Anders and Blue, for doing the hard work so I could sit here and do nothing for an hour and a half. And until next time, all, thank you very much for being here. Stay safe out there, and we will see you back here soon. Have a good night, all.